Manhattan, Wednesday. I scheduled episode 3 for 9:30 a.m. and stood on the sidewalk under glass that reflected ambition. At 9:32, phones around me lit with the Wills clause, the Miami file, the Seven payments, the fixer's recycle line. Darius texted, "They're in." Nathan's face appeared in a window like a weather icon. Inside, an ethics council summarized, "Duty of candor, duty of care." The board chair asked for comment. Bill invoked family privacy. Eleanor invoked healing. Luke, to his credit, said, "We owe the public correction the will requires." I didn't cheer. I ordered a street cart coffee and burned my tongue in optimism. A reporter asked if I planned to attend. "No," I said. "I'm not their judge, just their narrator." The vote went into a hold. Rosa, Andre, and 2 front desk agents entered the conference room like people who had learned to walk quietly and speak clearly. They told the story of deleted maintenance tickets, of urging audits after the blackout, of seeing Sloan at training sessions that trained nothing except fear. Darius produced a chain of custody log for the elevator footage and the hedge cam, noting when copies were requested and by whom. The who sat at the table, Julian smiling. "We routinely," he began. "You routinely," Rosa corrected. The stenographer didn't look up, but her fingers applauded. Outside, New York performed Being New York. Sirens, pretzels, a dog in booties. Inside, the will sounded like a metronome. That night, a coastal conservation gala sparkled at Midtown Ashford. I wore black, blended into lighting stands, and watched Sloan glide through donors with a smile that could slice fruit. Halfway through the paddle raise, the fire alarm chirped. One polite beep, then an embarrassed silence like a cough in church. Guests laughed. The staff didn't. Darius moved to the panel, frowned, then shook his head. "Bypassed last month," he murmured. "Of course." Cameras found Sloan. Microphones found spin. "False alarm," she said. I caught her eye and mouthed values, then turned to leave. "Press conference tomorrow," I told a reporter. 10 a.m., the steps. He asked, "Whose steps?" "You'll know," I said, which is a journalist bringing a tripod. At 10 a.m., not courthouse steps, hotel steps, marble, cameras, a city that loves a matinee. I didn't sue, I scripted transparency. A long mic, 2 chairs, and Luke beside me by choice. "Say it," I told him quietly. He did. The kiss, the elevator, the culture, the clause. "Who ordered the footage deleted?" a reporter asked. Luke looked at Julian. Julian looked at the horizon like it might offer a plea deal. "Footage was recycled at the direction of the office of the family chair," Luke said. Bill didn't flinch. "Payments through Seven?" "Approved by finance, countersigned by counsel," Luke said, voice steady and expensive. I added, "and a trust beneficiary who prefers fountain pens." Laughter rippled, the dangerous kind. We ended with one sentence. "We recommend an independent safety audit of every Ashford property, published." The crowd, being American, applauded accountability like it was entertainment. The trust document named Julian Pike as temporary steward of reputational exigencies, with discretionary approval from William Ashford III. A footnote authorized audio-visual disposition. That's legal to delete the proof. Nathan's signature hovered small at the bottom like a man trying to be ethical and employed at once. I read it twice, then handed 4 copies to people who make paper loud, 2 reporters, 1 state lawyer, 1 union rep. Bill's statement arrived on cue about misunderstood structures. Structures don't misunderstand. People do, expensively. I started episode 4, Stewardship, with one sentence. When a family creates a second door for problems, check who keeps the key. Maya rolled in B-roll of hallways and hands. The edit breathed like a steady pulse. Outside, a maintenance cart squeaked past. Inside, a dynasty's signature left a smudge no PR could polish. At 2:07 p.m., the board re-entered like surgeons who'd washed twice. The chair read a motion in a voice designed for elevators. Suspend William Ashford III as family chair pending ethics remediation. Remove Julian Pike from all stewardship roles. Initiate independent safety audits chain-wide. Disclose Seven transactions to an outside reviewer. Hands rose, some shaking, some relieved. The motion passed. No brass band, just the sound of wealth realizing it's mortal. Eleanor didn't blink. Nathan exhaled like math finally got oxygen. Luke looked small and honest. An improvement. I stood across the street with coffee that tasted like consequence and texted Maya a single word. Quorum. She sent back a photo of me, wind in my hair, receipts in my pocket, captioned, "Local woman chooses daylight." Reporters asked if this was revenge. "This is repair," I said. "Revenge is loud. Repair is lawful." A maintenance crew pushed a bin past us, wheels squeaking like truth trying not to apologize. Outside the glass, New York did what it does. Argued, bought pretzels, walked like possibility. A handful of staff clustered near the curb, whispering the way people whisper when they're tired of whispering. A bellman with a busted shoe asked for a selfie. We both laughed at the oddness and took it anyway. A woman in scrubs thanked me for saying safety more than scandal. I told her America runs on shift work and mercy. My phone vibrated. Notice of intent. The fixer's firm threatening defamation and tortious interference. I forwarded it to a media lawyer who works pro bono because democracy is a hobby here. He replied with one splendid phrase, anti-slap protections. I bought a second coffee because legal vocabulary deserves caffeine. Luke texted, "I'm proud of you." A better sentence than flowers. I typed, "Be proud of telling the rest." He didn't answer, which in Billionaire is called processing. The wind pushed a tabloid into a puddle. The headline bled until it looked like honesty. Julian's lawyers sent a 20-page threat letter heavy with adjectives and light on exhibits. My attorney red-penned it like a bored English teacher. "They're hoping you scare easily," he said. "I don't," I answered. We drafted a response quoting episodes, timestamps, contracts, and the will, no flourishes, just nouns that pay rent. I added one paragraph in plain English. Truth is allowed to be inconvenient. While the printer hummed, Maya cued episode 4, Stewardship, mixing my voice over the soft percussion of a washing machine. Boston soundtrack. I called Rosa to warn her about possible retaliation. "We've survived worse than emails," she said. "Bring a clipboard, not flowers." Nathan pinged me a spreadsheet template labeled Remediation Tracker. It had columns for fix ordered, fix completed, and who signed. He'd finally picked a side, the boring one that saves lives. I signed our response digitally and smiled at the dull efficiency of it. Back bay again. Eleanor requested 5 minutes, woman to woman. Translation: we speak plainly and pretend we don't. Her sitting room was a museum of tasteful restraint. She offered tea. I asked for water. "You've made your point," she said. "Have you made yours?" I asked. She studied the rug as if it held subtitles. "My husband mistakes silence for mercy," she said finally. "My father-in-law didn't." She slid an envelope across the table, a photocopy of a handwritten note from the founder to his children. "If the house catches fire, open the windows. If the fire returns, change the wiring." Attached. A codicil draft mentioning a permanent public safety committee he never lived to sign. "He wanted this," she said. "We lost the nerve." I slipped the envelope into my bag. "Thank you," I said, "for remembering which way the windows open." Harper ditched the burner and went full sunlight. She went live from a quiet guest room, no filters, just the soft roar of a city and a woman choosing adulthood. "We messed up," she said. "I messed up by staying cute." She apologized to staff by name. Rosa, Andre Darius, and to guests who learned fear in Ashford stairwells. Comments poured like rain. Some hugs, some knives, many finally. She posted PDFs, the Seven vendor list, anonymous guest relations memos. A rival influencer tried to hijack the narrative. Harper DM'd me. Let them. Truth doesn't need choreography. Within an hour, a former front desk agent posted a group chat screenshot where managers joked about fire drills for optics. The internet put its hair up and got to work. I sent Harper a single blue heart. She replied with a lightning bolt. Nathan met me in a midtown coffee shop that sells redemption by the ounce. He opened a laptop to a workbook with 8 tabs and 0 lies. Phantom occupancy, he said, pointing to a column where unbooked rooms were listed as wellness holds to stabilize revenue. Not fraud, but not the truth. We traced how holds kept safety staff underfunded while marketing stayed full. He had highlighted every temporary bypass on alarm panels and cross-referenced them with gala calendars. We can fix it in a quarter, he said. If the board lets me stay. Stay, I said. Quitters don't rewire buildings. They just write memoirs. He smiled like a man trying on courage and finding it his size. We agreed to publish anonymized, chain-wide safety metrics monthly. Boring on purpose, I said. The best kind, he answered. A junior PR assistant leaked a deck titled Narrative Stabilization, Wedding Weekend. Slide 3 proposed reframing the hedge kiss as closure between old partners, with a bullet suggesting targeted leaks to lifestyle outlets. Slide 6. Secure key creator partnerships to normalize post-wedding adjustment. Slide 9. If necessary, incentivize low-level staff to confirm misinterpretations. I read the bullets twice, the way you reread a recipe that uses the word poison casually. Sloan released a second apology. Longer, with verbs that aim for repentance and stick to strategy. I posted one slide, just slide 9, no commentary. The internet provided the commentary, free and fluent. Her agency announced it was parting ways the next morning. That's the thing about public relations. When it breaks, the shards are very photogenic. 2 visitors arrived at the corporation with polite suits and unamused eyes. Not FBI, state attorneys general from 2 states where Ashford holds the most nights. Their letters requested records on safety incidents, NDAs, and any third-party guest relations vehicles. Translation: Seven, please come outside. Julian tried a smile that had previously worked on editors and aldermen. It bounced off. The board hired a white shoe firm to cooperate fully, which is how Power says we're about to negotiate with Oxygen. I recorded a short bonus episode, What Accountability Looks Like in Real Clothes. I kept my tone neighborly. Americans follow along better when the math feels like lemonade. Maya cut in a clip of a fire door that ought to close and didn't. The sound of it swinging back open might be the most honest testimony we gathered. We watched from the sidewalk as an independent safety team ran a surprise drill. Staff hustled. Managers frowned at clipboards. A fire door hesitated like a liar. It didn't close. A guest in a Mets cap asked me if this was for TV. For life, I said. A housekeeper squeezed my arm and whispered, "Thank you. The way you thank brakes that hold on a hill." The audit supervisor, ponytail, steel gaze, read results into a mic. 3 critical failures, 5 majors, 14 minors. All fixable, she added, and you could hear the relief sharpen into resolve. On cue, a rival hotel sent a truck offering interviews to talented hospitality professionals seeking safer homes. That's capitalism, for we smelled blood, but we brought bandages. I filmed the door, then myself. Repairs start today. Guests sleep here tonight. Brand de-identification is a sterile term for a loud moment. The crane lifted. Workers unscrewed the Ashford letters one by one, each thunk into the crate like a period at the end of a century. Some employees cried, some filmed, Some asked if their badges still worked. A child walking by asked his mom why the big name was leaving. "Because names have to tell the truth," she said, and I almost hugged a stranger. Reporters swarmed. I said little. This belonged to the people who'd refilled glasses in the shadows. A rumor whispered that a safety-forward chain wanted to buy the failing properties. I hoped they brought more extinguishers than slogans. Luke stood half a block away, hands in pockets, learning how to be a man without a sign. We met in a quiet church hall rented for AA on Tuesdays and honesty on the rest. "I resigned," Luke said, voice unglossed. He'd posted a letter, stepping down from executive duties to cooperate with the ethics committee and focus on restitution. He named Rosa, Andre, Darius, Harper, Nathan. He didn't name Sloan or Julian. The law would do that. "Good," I said, because sometimes the truest blessing is one syllable. "I'm sorry," he added. "I know," I said. "Forgiveness is not a coupon. It's a door you prop open and check twice." He asked what happened to us. "Today we don't decide," I said. "Today we fix exits and call our mothers." We sat in the kind of silence that doesn't punish. A janitor vacuumed near our feet. The cord looped like grace. Eleanor's envelope had a sibling in a banker's box. A letter the founder wrote to his future heirs about dignity as policy. "If a guest is ever asked to trade safety for serenity, shut the hotel until you can offer both." He'd penned in the looping hand of a man who liked promises. Attached, notes for a public safety index, scores in Windows, audits online, complaints answered in daylight. The page smelled faintly of cedar and nerve. I read it into my mic, then handed copies to the board's outside counsel and to Rosa, who framed it in the staff break room like a saint's portrait. "He meant us," she said. "He always did," I answered, surprising myself with affection for a man I'd never meet. We held a town hall in a lobby designed for whispers and turned it into a civic gymnasium. Folding chairs, mic stand, strong coffee, no choreographed applause. Staff asked about back pay, hazard differentials, training hours, childcare credits during overnight audits. Guests asked about emergency kits, stairwell lighting, and plain language maps. Nathan unveiled the first draft of the safety index. Rosa suggested an anonymous hotline that rang into 3 phones, none of them managerial. We voted on the spot. A retiree in a Red Sox cap said the best thing all day. "A luxury is knowing the alarm works." I ended the meeting with the sentence I'd been practicing. "We aren't burning a brand. We're building a standard." People clapped like they meant it, then stacked their own chairs. America, truly. By late week, the board announced a restructure. Bill removed as chair. Julian terminated for cause. The Seaven Trust dissolved. Restitution fund created for affected guests and staff. Independent safety committee installed with 2 union seats and 1 public health expert. Monthly public reports required. Eleanor accepted a non-executive role focused on philanthropy with transparency rules that would make saints sweat. Nathan stayed as CFO under probationary stars he planned to earn. Harper joined the safety committee because repentance is most believable when it has a calendar. Luke's resignation remained in place. I recorded episode 5, wiring, not wallpaper, and kept my metaphors on a short leash. The press called it a reckoning. I called my mother. We hosted an open microphone on the marble steps where the whole circus began. Staff told small stories, the kind that never make movies but save lives. A door rehung, a drill practiced until muscle memory became muscle truth, a manager who finally learned everyone's names. A tourist thanked Rosa for a flashlight left by every bedside. Nathan announced the first safety index scores, some proud, some humbling, and promised the next would be higher. The interim CEO candidate introduced herself. Ex-public health, ex-hotel maid, present tense grown-up. "My first act," she said, "is buying more clipboards than press releases." I closed with a teaser for American Vows, parts 1-3, full story. and promised a final episode about what repair looks like after the cameras leave. Then the wind came through like permission and lifted the corner of the tarp where the old letters had been. Sloan arrived in a blazer that could file a motion on its own and sat where microphones turned posture into testimony. The committee chair asked for her employment history. She delivered it like a resume read at a memorial. Then came the hedge, the elevator, the decks. Culture rewarded containment, she said, eyes glassy but dry. I confused loyalty with usefulness. She admitted drafting narrative stabilization, blamed pressure, and apologized to staff first, which made the room blink. When asked who coined recycle irrelevant footage, she paused, just long enough to hear her future arrive, and said, "The office of the family chair." She slid a printed email thread across the table. Time-stamped, CC's intact, subject line, optics. Bill's name sat in the approve slot like a monogram on a bandage. Sloane's voice didn't crack. Her suit did. A single loose thread at the cuff she refused to pull. The retainer named Pike & Co. as temporary stewards of reputational exigencies, countersigned by William Ashford III. It authorized content lifecycle management, which sounds like filing until you see the footnote, includes audiovisual disposition. Translation: delete when inconvenient. The committee counsel read slowly, like a doctor delivering diagnosis and cure at once. Bill dabbed his brow with a linen square the color of surrender. "Industry standard," he snapped, the phrase men use when they mean we got away with it before. Eleanor didn't look at him. Nathan kept taking notes, the bravest verb in the room. Sloan swallowed and offered a hard drive labeled Archive Optics Legacy. "I kept copies," she said. Insurance turned into conscience. The room exhaled like a stadium after a fair call. Outside, a delivery cyclist hit the curb and kept riding. American persistence in denim and reflective tape. Maya cloned the drive while Darius logged chain of custody like it was art. Folders nested inside folders. Gala glitch, Miami blackout, hedge weekend, training optics. One directory sat older, dustier by metadata, Harbor 1999. We opened a PDF scan of maintenance tickets with edges browned like toast. Pages showed temporary bypasses, guest relations credits, and a faxed memo from a junior manager warning about door closers that hesitate. The reply: prioritize guest experience. Revisit the postseason. 3 weeks later, a small kitchen fire, smoke in stairwells, a broken wrist on level 6. Settled quietly. The founder's signature appeared on an adjacent document, stern, corrective, human. He had written the first draft of the values clause that night. Somewhere along the way, devotion thinned into optics. I added an episode card to the edit timeline, Ep Tot 6, the first fire. Maya looked up. "We're telling a family story," she said. "We always were," I answered. Sloan asked to meet off camera at a South Station cafe where the espresso tastes like apologies. She arrived without armor. "I kept a key card," she said, placing it between us like a truce. "I wanted leverage. Turns out I needed absolution." We walked to a midtown storage level with the particular chill of HVAC and secrets. The card light turned green. Inside, bankers' boxes labeled in handwriting older than cloud accounts, guest relations, maintenance, legal hold. I lifted a lid and met the smell of paper that has waited too long. We photographed, scanned, logged. Darius cataloged like a museum conservator. Rosa texted names of night staff who remembered alarms that coughed. Sloan stood in the doorway, small and human, a woman who had won rooms and lost sleep. "You can hate me later," she said. "I'm booked for repair today." "We have matching calendars," I answered. The margin spoke like a kindly sheriff. "Scores visible at entrance. Shame keeps bolts tight. Guests are neighbors. Neighbors get the truth." Bonus only if drills pass on Tuesday nights. He'd underlined the night 3 times. He'd also scribbled, if the house catches fire twice, change the wiring, not the curtains. I read the notes into a mic set on a stack of boxes, a temporary pulpit in a chilly archive. Maya filmed my hands on the paper. America trusts hands. We overlaid the audio with stairwell shots, door closers finally closing. No villains monologued. Policies did. I kept my sarcasm pocketed and let the founder's pen do the work. When we finished, Sloane asked if she could keep one photocopy to frame over a desk she hadn't found yet. Yes, I said. Hang it where you can't avoid it.